So welcome back everybody. If y'all caught the video, I think it was 2 videos ago, where we cleared this trail here through the woods, you saw in that video, and I had a couple people ask when we were going to be able to see this, but we ran across a pretty decent sized wild cherry tree that was a windfall tree, and it was pretty fortunate because we don't have a lot of cherry trees in my area, and the ones that we do have are usually kind of small. So this one, not a huge cherry tree by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a pretty nice size one for what we get around here. So we're going to stick it on the mill today and see what kind of lumber we can get, and I'll probably end up using that lumber for flooring in our house when we get to that part of the remodel. But before we get to the log, I wanted to thank everybody who has very graciously ordered my father-in-law's book. This is my father-in-law's book. It's called The Flag Was Still There, and it's basically an autobiography of his time during the Vietnam conflict and his year-long tour of duty there. It covers his time right before his tour when he won the draft lottery. It goes through his year-long tour of duty there, and a little bit right after it as well. But really good read. I've always been very interested in history, and this book shined a lot of light on that time in our history, from the viewpoint of the soldiers, from the viewpoint of the civilians that the soldiers unfortunately had to return home to, and the tactics, and it was just a very good read. And if y'all are interested in picking up a copy of this, I'll put a link in the description, or the comment section rather, of this video to the Amazon link, and y'all can check that out if y'all are interested. But let's go ahead and get into this log and see what we've got. So let's take a quick look at it first here. This section's probably about 20 feet. Of course, we'll cut it up, but unfortunately, it looks like we've got some heart rot on the stump end down here. So I don't know, and I bet that's the culprit right there, that little knot hole. But if we check this end out down here, I don't know how far it goes, but you can see we do have a little bit of end rot here, or heart rot. Hopefully that won't go too far up into the tree. We'll just see. Let's get it hooked up to the tractor and see what we can get. So I was warned about this, but I finally found a downside of this grapple on this tractor. You can't just go down trails with logs in your grapple, or it just won't work for you. So we're gonna have to drag this one out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it off right about here, and the reason for that is I don't know how far this heart rot goes, but there's a good chance it probably goes right up to this knot hole right here, and also it's going to be more symmetrical if I cut it off right here. It'll give us an more even diameter on that end and also on this end. So let's check out what we've got here. By the way, a box blade makes a really poor log dragger. I think I bent part of the blade where it mounts to the lift arms, number one, and number two, I picked up a ton of dirt, so I have to avoid that in the future. So here we go, this end of this log, and I think this is the large end. We're looking at about 11 inches. And the overall length here is going to be 125.5, so just over 10 feet. Actually, this end should be the larger end because this is where we cut it off. You see that heart rod is still creeping up into it a little bit, but we got most of it. So this end is actually about 13 inches. So the small end is 11, this one is 13, and yeah, a little bit oblong, I guess. But fairly symmetrical log, fairly straight. Let's see what's inside. Not sure what it's going to look like on the inside. Check this out. Got quite a bit of water in there. So I wanted to stop real quick and show you all this. I don't think that I've ever really gotten a good video of a log under tension before, but here's a good one. If y'all look at this right here, this cut is completely straight, and this top slab right here that's coming off is just under a ton of tension. Now that shouldn't surprise me too much because this tree was kind of growing on the side of a hill, not a really steep hill, but it was still kind of on the side of a hill, so that could have had something to do with it. But yeah, I'll go ahead and finish the cut and y'all will see afterwards. It might straighten out, it'll probably flop back down on this end, but I thought that was interesting. I've had this before. The worst tension I have ever seen has been in water oak. I've had a water oak log before, and I bet I can't find the picture, but I've had a water oak log before. The tension was probably twice this. Show y'all what it ended up doing here. So it just kind of split the difference between the front and the back of the log, or top and bottom. We're gonna have trouble getting these boards to dry straight. So guys, I got to looking at this cant here, and I looked at the very bottom or end of the cant and noticed that it was almost below the rail, and I thought below one of the bunks, and I said, what is going on? Is there that much tension? And then I realized that little block of wood that I put up under there earlier to level it, I never took it out. So I just really messed up the first cut on this cant. Let me decide what I'm gonna do here. So there's two things I could have done. I could have taken it out and skimmed a wedge off of the top, or I could have left it on there and skimmed the wedge off of the bottom. But what I really wanted was for this first one to be without all this wane here. So what I did was I took it out, and I'm going to skim a little wedge off of the top, and then we should be back to square. So we're about to open up these boards and see what we've got, but judging by this sawdust, I think there's probably some good looking boards in there. That's some pretty stuff. So I'm starting to understand much better why this tree was a windfall tree. You see, this heart rot goes quite a distance up into this log, and that's where it was harboring water earlier, if y'all remember. There was actually some kind of a centipede or worm in it too just now. I brushed it away before I could get a good look at it. But yeah, that's kind of disappointing. But there's still some good boards in here, and see, that's just rotten. That's all that is just rotten. I was hoping it was just kind of dark, but the rot stops about right there on this particular board. This one's okay. So there's a few boards that are certainly usable out of this log. 8.5, a little over 8.5 inches. Let's lay some of the best ones out and put some water on them. So I think I got a question one time. Somebody asked, why do I put water on these boards? And this is this is why right here. A bucket of water can quickly change your attitude toward a board. Look at this, how it brought out that figure, brought out that grain. That is a pretty color on this, and with some varnish on it, man, it'll be great. Or some polyurethane rather. These will be nice. Not a whole lot of boards from that tree. What I'm going to do is stack all of them with the exception of one that was a little too thin, and let them all dry, and just kind of sort them out after they're dried, and hopefully I'll be able to salvage most of them. But yeah, that's not too shabby. We'll stack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boards, and hopefully we'll be able to get. Hopefully we'll be able to use 4 or 5 of them. Yeah, certainly not wasted time right there, guys. Guys, I appreciate y'all watching, and I will see y'all next time.